Well, here we go, Eastern Bay's news, and we're mobile today, and Desley Simpson from Auckland Council is with us. So Desley, thanks for your time, and right on cue we're heading into a 30k area, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So Auckland Transport are proposing changes that are really going to affect the bays, and I think maybe if our viewers can understand that a bit more.
Well, that's right. Auckland Transport are currently out for consultation on whether Mission Bay and St Heliers should reduce from 50k's to 30k's.
Yeah, okay.
Their thinking behind that is that if you are hit by a vehicle, when you're crossing the road at 30k's, you're potentially more likely to survive as if you're hit at 50k's.
At 50k's.
So that's the real.
And Desley, I'm going to keep interrupting you as we go. I don't want to be rude, but in their plan, this is going to be a pedestrian crossing, so we'll slow down for a pedestrian crossing here.
Correct. So they have, first of all, we're consulting on, or they're consulting on whether we should be 30k's, but they're actually then going to force you to do that by doing some speed mitigation.
And sorry, and this is going to be another pedestrian crossing that's going to be raised.
All right.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, you've got one more about here.
So about here, we're going to slow down for another pedestrian crossing. So by this point, you've come across 3 pedestrian crossings, and then we're going to hit the traffic lights. Okay. I don't think we'll even do 30.
Well, there's a distinct
Imagine that on the
possibility
weekend.
right
That is just going to be nuts. This is a commuter route. 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm heading to the gym. A lot of people are heading to work. And there's a lot of traffic. We don't come here to relax. This is how you get to work in the city.
Certainly in peak hours, it's a major commuter route. And we know that Auckland suffers from a congestion problem. In fact, it's got an economic benefit of between 1.3 and $1.5 billion a year.
Caused by congestion.
Caused by congestion.
And now we're going to get more
congestion.
congestion.
We're going to get more. But hold on, we're 1, 2, 3. There's another raised pedestrian crossing.
So we're out of the lights, and now we're going to hit at another pedestrian crossing, or we're going to be on the tail of a queue that just hit it.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Okay.
And then just before we come to Marau, there's yet another one.
So another pedestrian crossing. We're going to slow down again and hit that.
Just here.
And a roundabout.
Then we're going to have a roundabout. And looking over here, there's going to be a raised pedestrian crossing there, and one at the bottom of Selwyn as well.
I'm gonna turn around, and then we're going to start heading back down, because you're going to have the same happening up in St Heliers.
Correct. We've got a huge number. Auckland Transport are saying that there's a huge number of extra speed mitigation methods, I think is the official term, that they'll put in to actually force the commuters to travel at 30k's.
Pedestrian crossing?
Pedestrian crossing.
Okay.
Pedestrian crossing.
And then another, let me go this way. Another pedestrian crossing?
Pedestrian crossing right here.
Okay.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, so the really tough thing for me is that they're consulting on whether people think that going a lower speed of 30k's is acceptable to them, but then they're not going to tell you exactly what speed mitigation methods that they're going to use until next month.
So if we say yes, it's a good idea, 30k's, then that's not just the signs changing out. They'll engineer that change. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't understand that.
If they were just changing the signs, I think people would, get it a lot easier. But actually, they know that the sign change won't be enough to change behaviour. They're really looking at putting in these mitigation methods, or engineering solutions, as they call them, to force vehicles and buses, and of course they'll apply to cyclists as well when there isn't a designated cycle lane.
Coming through. And now we're trying to get through this intersection. There's going to be a pedestrian crossing there.
Correct.
And a lot of people do use these back roads as we come through. The front can be quite busy.
Marau will be free.
Okay, cool. Until we hit Atkin?
Until you hit Atkin, and then there'll be one just around the corner.
Yeah. Desley, you mentioned the buses, and I think the bus service has improved. I think it's great. The frequency is important. So we're going to hit another pedestrian crossing here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Potentially, yes.
So those,
the buses is fantastic. I really love the Tamaki link. Every 15 minutes along Tamaki Drive, I think it's been a great service for the bays. But of course, the buses will have to negotiate these raised speed tables as well.
Yep.
So it will slow everything down, not just cars, but buses and cyclists and everybody.
So in the future, Mission Bay and St Heliers could feel the same way that Quay Street feels right now, and there's nothing enjoyable about that, is there?
Well, we don't know what the speed mitigation methods are planned for Quay Street. We know, of course, they're not going back to 2 lanes each way. They're only going to have the 1. But at least, I suppose, the good news is that we've had a little bit of a heads up with potential speed mitigation methods in Mission Bay and St Heliers.
Fantastic. Well, at least we've got a beautiful day to do it, and I appreciate your time. And I've enjoyed it. I think we should jump in the car more often and cover off some of the things happening in the bays, if you're happy to do that.
Anytime, Wayne. Really happy to help.